Escaping from Eden, Chapter 14. Conclusion. Who am I? We bought the shipping crate as our accommodation for guests, but it had come in handy as a quiet spot for study and my private place of prayer. I began in Genesis, studying up for my next sermon at the church on the range. But the anomalies had taken me on a journey around the world, away from the hills and valleys of Victoria, on a tour of ancient Sumeria, Babylonia, Greece, and Egypt, from India to South Africa, Peru, Bolivia, and Mexico. I felt like Neo waking up from his illusory life in the Matrix. Now I understood that what I had previously regarded as glitches in my Christian worldview were actually flashing lights signaling an altogether different meta-narrative, the narrative to which these texts actually belong. When I began my hermeneutical exercise, I could never have imagined where a plural Elohim was, or should I say were, going to lead me. It was a pleasure to be back in Victoria, in the quiet, shady spot at the end of our driveway, enjoying the warmth of my shipping crate seclusion, readying it for guests and sorting through a floor full of notes. Here, for just a few more days, I could sit knee to knee with Jesus and ask him to help me make sense of all I had been learning. In the Gospel of John, Jesus promises that the Spirit will remind us, whenever needed, of the words and truths of Jesus. This is the confidence every preacher banks on as they carry the questions of their communities and minister to the needs of others. It's what they do. So in my seclusion, I was in a familiar space with Jesus and my questions for company. I didn't find it hard to believe that our galaxy might be more densely populated than we have generally been taught, and that it may have been seeded with and by people who look similar to us. But where was Jesus in this picture, and what did he think about our alien brothers and sisters? Did he agree with Father Funes and Father Calsamagno at the Vatican observatories? In my mind, I could hear Jesus say, "I have others who are not of this fold. I must bring them also." What about these others then? A brother alien is one thing, but would God really have allowed ET species to trespass on the soil of our beautiful blue-green planet, plunder its resources, meddle in the life of its flora and fauna, genetically modify us and exploit us as we do with livestock? Surely our God wouldn't permit interstellar visitors to rule over the communities of our prehistoric ancestors as heavenly kings or gods. Okay, so God allowed us to do it to each other as generations of colonizers and colonized. But would God really have allowed a non-terrestrial species to do that to our distant ancestors? Surely God wouldn't leave us at the mercy of alien marauders and interlopers like that. If God really loved human beings, wouldn't he step in to save us from such false gods? Jesus said, "All who came before me were thieves and robbers. The thief comes only to plunder and kill and destroy. I have come that my sheep may have life and have it in all its fullness." John 10:8 and 10. I love what I see in Jesus. However, with a Bible scribed by ancient authors who were gradually feeling their way from foreign worldviews to the monotheism of Sunday school religion, how could I recognize God's authentic revelation? What could Jesus show me within the pages that was pure, unalloyed, and clear in depicting the Father as he really is? Jesus said, "Don't you know me, even after I have been among you such a long time? How can you ask, 'Show me the Father'? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father." John 14:9a. So where in the Bible is that vision of the Father most developed? Where is it the clearest and least spun by the writer's perspectives at the time? The writer to the Hebrews says, "In the past, God spoke to our ancestors at many times and in diverse ways through the prophets. But now, ... That but now means something new and better has come. Something that contrasts with all that went before and is of a different order of magnitude. But now in these last days he has spoken to us through his Son, whom he appointed to inherit everything, and through whom he made the universe. The Son is the radiance of his glory, the exact representation of his being. Hebrews 1, 1 through 3a. Now, I said, who am I? How can I be your creation, your father's son, if the truth is that some other flesh and blood species had a hand in engineering me? Jesus said, flesh gives birth to flesh. Spirit gives birth to spirit. John 3:6. Wow, the Gospel of John really seemed up for my questions. It remained calm and unruffled as I continued my interrogation. So what are we doing here with 90% of our brains switched off? What might we be capable of if we could learn to change the default settings without resorting to car crashes and comas? Can we switch our brains on? Surely, Jesus, you don't want us scratching around with neural slavery settings still determining what we imagine ourselves to be capable of. Jesus said, anyone who believes in me will do what I have been doing. These and even greater things will he do. John 14:12. I still wondered what Jesus knew when he was on earth. Did he know the things I was now discovering, or was he totally immersed in our humanity, beginning as a baby, totally dependent on his mother and father to nurture and teach him? Was this immersion so entire that he received his insights from the Holy Spirit on a need-to-know basis? Or perhaps Jesus knew more than he ever spoke and shared on what he knew on our need-to-know basis. The words of Jesus came to mind which said, I have much more to say to you, more than you can now bear. But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all truth. He will take from what is mine and make it known to you. John 16:12, 13a, 15b. I cast my eye over my notes as I began to pick up the month's worth of piles of paper from the floor of the cabin and reflect on the implications of my mythological travels. Disentangling God from the activity of others has shown me a better God than I knew before. I want to know that true divinity more fully and more authentically, and without viewing him through the lens of fear and servility programmed into us by others and by centuries of religion. My universe has grown. It is more mystifying and more populous than I thought before. I have a bigger family than ever I knew and can look forward to all that my wider family's technology may have to offer. How good will it be to fuel the world with zero-point energy and set our planet free from our dangerous and expensive enslavement to nuclear energy and fossil fuels? And if our galactic neighbors can get here, presumably there are subspace technologies that might transform our own relationship with the universe. That's an exciting future. It all brings me back to the question of the psalmist as he looked out at the stars of heaven and asked, what is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? What are human beings? And what are we capable of? I want to know how our lives can be with better tapped brains and old inhibitors switched off. I want to really unpack all that Jesus gave us to unravel our subservient and slave programming. I want to know what a free sibling society and love for all our brothers and sisters might look and feel like. To acknowledge, even for a moment, that you and I live on a beautiful blue-green dot that can be hit, blasted, and rebooted by a random comet or solar flare just like that, makes me want to live in tune with the realm of eternity, living my life here to the very fullest, unafraid and ready for the next step. After months of torsion and traction, I am very happy to be walking stronger and not living beholden to the discipline of having every I dotted and every T crossed by next Sunday morning. With the joy of that freedom, my appetite has come alive. I pick up my Bible, which is open at John's Gospel, chapter 10. I have come that my sheep may have life and have it in all its fullness. If God is as he appears in Jesus, then there is joy, love, power, and freedom itching to be taken hold of and expressed in a world of people made fully alive. I stand up and test my leg. It's feeling good and strong, better than before even. I may even be ready for another round of ultimate frisbee. More importantly, I think I'm ready for the next part of the journey. But right now, this minute, my family is at the door. The car is ready to leave, and my editor is texting me. It's time for that press conference. And that concludes Escaping from Eden by Paul Wallace. Thank you for coming along for the reading, and peace and blessings to you all.